Good morning, Kella Price with Healthy Fit. Today is stretch, mobility, and recovery workout, one of my favorite days of the week. Today's focus is foot and calf to prevent injury, to create better support and stability through your foot and ankle, prevent plantar fasciitis and tendonitis that occurs from weakness or imbalances in those muscles. So what we're going to use today, I do have some yoga movements in today's workout, so I have a mat down. If you're not getting down on the floor today, you can use a chair, and I'll demonstrate those movements. I'm using my Rollga tools. We always use these in stretch, mobility, and recovery. We've got our Rollga. If you don't have one of these, you can use any foam roller that you have. And I'm using my activator tool. I love the texture on this and the comfort design. If you don't have one of these activators, you can use a tennis ball, golf ball, lacrosse ball, racquetball for a similar effect. You can always reach out to me to order your own set of Rollga. Use the code KELLA for a discount on their website. I'm also going to be using a resistance band. This is our Stroops band. If you don't have a band that has this fabric on it, check your band for rips or tears before using it for safety. And I have a step. We're going to be doing some calf raises, so I'm going to be using the step for that. You can do those on the floor if you don't have a step, or if you have stairs in your house, you can do those at the stairs as well. So we're going to start with the SMR of the feet using our activator tool. I like to use the bumpy side for this. You can sit in your chair or come to the floor. If you don't have a tool like this, we can also use our thumbs and massage in an X pattern. When we're using our tool, we're going to press it on our fascia tissue, do a quarter turn, and then release. Starting at the heel, working our way up. This quarter turn and release, we're going to help unstick that fascia. So your fascia tissue gets stuck like Velcro, and this is going to help release that. It's also going to stimulate blood flow in the fascia. Working our way up, being careful of that large metatarsal head at the ball of your big toe. It can be sensitive if you push too hard there. Let's do that on the other side as well. Again, starting at the heel, working our way up. And working our way back down. Let's release the calves with the activator as well before we come to a standing position. So the same process around the back of the calves. Again, if you don't have an activator, you can use your thumbs and your fingertips to kind of knead the muscles in there, noticing any areas that you have tension or tightness. Working all the way around. You have several muscle heads in the back of your calf, and you can get tightness on all of them, so that's why we want to make sure we rotate and work all the way around the back of the leg. Before we come to a standing, go ahead and grab our Rollga. We're gonna loosen up those calves a little bit more. So your calf muscles, you can do both legs at the same time in the outside valleys. If you're not getting down the floor, you can do this up against the wall. It'll be a little bit gentler up against the wall, and you may have to adjust the Rolga. Scooting back and forth right here. We can point and flex our feet. You can also cross one leg over the other to get a little bit more pressure on that foot, or that ankle rather, that calf muscle. We can also point our toes out to the sides, center, and point them in to hit the muscles in different positions. Do what feels good to you. I'm sure you've heard me say before that self-myofascial release is very personal. Everyone has different sensitivities. You hold tightness in different areas of your body. And so what you do might look a little bit different than someone else, and that's okay. We want it to feel good and release that tension to prevent injury, improve mobility, and improve your performance. We're going to come to a standing position now, placing the activator on the ground. I like the bumpy side up. Starting at the toes, I'm going to wrap my toes over the top. It feels good as a stretch. If you wear shoes a lot, your toes get all crunched up, and this is a good way to stretch them. And as we work down through the ball of the foot and the arch, we can rock side to side and front and back to release. Moving down towards the heel. The great thing about this activator too is it's not going to roll away because it has those handholds on the side. But if your ball does start to roll away, feel free to just stop and reset. Let's do that on the other side, shall we? Stretching out, wrapping those toes over the top. Side to side, front and back. Moving down through the heel. Again, the amount of pressure that you apply is personal. I might want to apply more pressure, so I'm going to get up onto the ball and really lean into it. But maybe you just want to gently press on the ball. All right. Taking our activator, or our Rolga rather, take the activator off to the side. Now we're on the center humps of the Rolga, rocking back and forth here. Hold it toe up to get a good calf stretch. Let's do that on the other side. Back and forth, and then hold it toe up to feel that good calf stretch right here. All right, we're gonna do a little bit of foot fitness next. Exercise our toes, create those neural synapses from our brain down to those feet that are our first point in the kinetic chain that really impact our balance. We're gonna start by lifting and lowering that big toe. Lift and lower. Now, if you have to look down at your toe to do it, that's okay. Let's try to exercise that little piggy toe. This one's a little bit harder. Sometimes your other toes want to move also. We want to create smart toes that are responsive to the ground. All right, now let's lift all of our toes, spread them out, place them down the ground, and grip the mat or the floor. You'll see the inside arch of your foot here activate. That's what we want. Lift, spread, lower, and squeeze. Activating the foot. Spread those toes out. All right, now let's rock from the inside, pronate and supinate our feet. You might feel a little bit of a gentle stretch in the ankle. We don't want to overstretch. That feels pretty good. If there's a specific area that's tight, maybe you hold it on that side. Both of mine feel pretty even, so I'm gonna stretch on both directions. Now let's take our feet. I'm gonna turn to the side so you can see better. Press your toes into the floor, lifting your heel off, stretching out those toes. One more. Let's do that on the other side. Press and press. All right. Our next series, we are going to use our Stroups band or resistance loop for this. Okay, so when we do this, I like to wrap the band around the foot. So make it so it's even. Place it across the top of the foot and then wrap it under the arch in both directions. This will make sure that it's nice and sturdy. So we're just going to use a little bit of tension here. We're going to point and flex, point and flex. The band is just adding a little bit of resistance, activating the calf muscle, working on our plantar and dorsiflexion of our foot, the movement in each direction. You might notice one maybe a little bit harder to do than the other. That's an area of opportunity for you. Let's switch to the other side. If you've had injury in the ankle, you could have some scar tissue. Scar tissue and injury always impacts the way that we move. We can do some repair through exercise and strengthening, but it'll never be exactly the same, especially when it comes to tendons and ligaments. When they get stretched out, it's like a old elastic band in a pair of pants that won't keep the pants up because it's overstretched. Once it's overstretched, we have to strengthen our muscles to help support it and prevent re-injury. Couple more. All right, carefully take the band off. Next, we're going to do ankle rotations in both directions. You can do these seated in the chair or from a standing position. Nice and gentle rotations. I'm not adding any pressure. I can lift that foot up at any time, just to see if there's any area that feels weird. I did sprain this foot last year, and I can tell a difference in my mobility. Even though I did rehab exercises and our stretch mobility and recovery program, it definitely gets tighter more quickly than the other side, and the mobility is different. Again, you can do this seated. We're not putting pressure on the ankle. Just getting it warmed up, noticing any area of tightness. All right, moving into our calf raises. You can use a chair or a wall for stability here, using the floor or the step. The reason that we want to use the step is because it's going to increase the amount of range of motion that we have as we drop our heel. We're going to get more of a dorsiflexion, and then we're going to come up into that plantar flexion. So putting your balls of the feet on the edge of your step here, allow those heels to drop. You should feel a calf stretch here. We're going to start with our feet parallel. Okay, so check and make sure your feet are parallel. Lift, squeeze, and lower. Taking our time, making sure you allow your heel to drop over the edge of the step. Look down for just a minute. We also want to make sure we're pressing off of our feet evenly, that our feet aren't pronating or supinating as we lift off of our step. We're pressing off, that we're evenly placing the feet. Those foot mechanics. 2 more right here. Okay, so for our next one, our feet, I'm turning just for the side for a second. Our feet are out to the side, okay? So we're in like a plie position. Again, your balls of the feet are on the edge of your step. You can hold on to a chair for stability. Heels are closer together and toes are further apart. Still pressing off evenly off of all the toes. Nice tall posture. Squeeze those calves at the top. How are we doing? All right, our next calf raises, our toes are pointed in, so we're pigeon-toed. We're going to turn our feet in like this on the edge of the step. Working a different part of the calf muscle. So these exercises are great for those of you who are my runners, those of you who are in my athlete strength classes, because our calves will help improve our performance when we run and prevent running injuries. We wouldn't want to do this before we run because we're trying to fatigue out our calves, but this is a great thing to do as your recovery stretches. For those of you who are in my bikini body camp, we're really targeting those calf muscles on our lower body to also prevent injury. But when we wear high heels, we're working a lot of these muscles. So this is going to create stability and support in the feet. One more. All right. Set the step aside for right now. Moving into our first sun salutation. Feel free to get a sip of water. As we do our self-myofascial release, it's like a massage, so it's important to drink water to send that hydration to the muscles. Our muscles need a lot of water for recovery, prevent cramping, and to flush out any toxins that you are trying to expel through the process as well. So if you're not getting down on the floor, we're going to plank right here on our chair, pushing back into our down dog, and then we'll pedal our legs right here. Otherwise, join me on the mat. Big inhale up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, shoulders back. Exhale, step it out to plank on your chair, on your knees, or on your toes. Hands are stacked under the shoulders. Pull your hands towards the outside of your mat or chair to really open up the chest. Push back into your down dog, pressing your heels towards the floor. Feeling a good stretch in your shoulders, bending your knees right and left, pedaling. Feeling that good stretch in the calf muscle. Couple more. back into your plank, step it in, and roll it up. Our next exercise, coming into a lunge. Your feet are parallel like train tracks. You can hold on to your chair if you need it for balance. Knees coming down in alignment with toes. Inhale and exhale, pressing up. Inhale and exhale. From here, pushing that back heel down towards the floor for another calf stretch. All right, I'm going to switch legs, rotating to the front so you can see it from a different direction. Again, your feet are parallel like train tracks. Look in the mirror. We want our knees to come down in alignment with toes. So don't let your knee cave in on the front or the back. Keep it in alignment, like you have a straight line from your knee touching your toes. So inhale, exhale, press up. You got it. One more. Pressing that back heel down for that calf stretch. How are we doing so far? Step it in. Moving into our next sun salutation. If you're not getting down on the floor, again, plank, down dog. This time we're gonna lift and lower. So you're gonna come up off of your heels, lift and lower. All right, who's ready? Here we go, big inhale up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, shoulders back. Exhale, step it out to plank. On your chair, on your knees or toes. Again, pulling your arms to the outside of your mat, looking out in front for a good neutral spine. Push back into your down dog. Pressing your heels towards the floor. Bending those knees right and left, right and left. Now let's lift and lower. Lift and lower. Moving both. We're not bending our knees here. We're pushing off. So our heels are coming from the close to the mat, up and press. And press. Pushing through the toes. Squeeze those calves. Two more. Come back into your plank. Step it in and roll it up. All right. Moving into our next stretch, we're going to come to the floor. So if your mat is not extra cushy or you need some extra cushion for your knee, you can use a folded up towel. This is our kneeling dorsiflexion stretch. So one foot is behind, the other one we're going to start in this 90-degree bend. All right, so you can have your hands on your hips or on your thigh as you lean forward. We're keeping our foot on the floor, extending the toe, keeping it in alignment with the foot, but the knee, extend it past the toes. We actually do this movement of extending our knee past our toes as we go down steps. We want to keep it in alignment, but we're really focusing on improving our dorsiflexion in our ankle. Let's do one more. All right, switching sides. Again, if you're using a cushion, you can switch it to the other side. Get that foot started at your 90-degree bend here. Foot flat on the floor. We want it hip distance away so that hip distance in alignment so that as we move forward, it's easier to keep that knee in alignment with the toes. Now, if you have an injury, maybe you notice a little bit more instability on one side than the other, or a lack of movement. You want to also keep your heel on the ground. We're trying to increase our dorsiflexion. Some other things that can impact your mobility and cause calf pain is hip tightness. But that's another stretch, mobility, and recovery session. Maybe we'll do that one next time. It's really important to take time each and every week to do your stretch, mobility, and recovery. Again, to prevent injury, reduce pain and muscle fatigue, and improve your performance. All right, coming back up to a standing position. We're ready for our next sun salutation. If you're not getting down on the floor for this one, when we step into the runner's lunge, I want you to do it on the chair if you're not getting down on the floor. The idea is that we're leaning into the stretch. I don't want you to overstretch the ankle, so try to keep that good alignment. You're gonna feel it more in the hip flexor. All right, here we go. Big inhale up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, shoulders back. Exhale, step it out to plank. On your chair, on your knees, or on your toes. Stepping forward into that runner's lunge. Now this is where, if you're standing, you're gonna come around to the front of your chair. And do it in the front of the chair, on the seat. You can drop to your knee here now if you're on the floor. Rotating and pressing that knee towards the outside. Open up that hip. Again, getting a gentle stretch in the ankle, but we're really focused on opening the hip. We can even lean forward a little bit. All right, I'm gonna rotate, go back to your plank. I'm gonna rotate to the other direction so you can see it from the other side this time. From a plank position, stepping forward to the outside of the foot, or the outside, you're on the seat chair. You can drop down to your knee here, sinking into that stretch. If you're on the floor, drop to your knees so that you can really focus on that rotation. So again, we're not excessively pushing our ankle to the outside. We want to keep that good leg alignment. You see that nice long line from my outside blade of my foot up. I can lean forward here, get a little bit more stretch. All right, come on up. Stepping it in. We are going back to calf raises. We got all kinds of calf raises today to really help strengthen and recover those calves. I'm gonna rotate to the front here. These are seated calf raises. So because we're seated and the knee is bent, we are activating different muscles. So this is a good one to do as well, in addition to the standing, because we're working the muscles differently. All right, so we're gonna start with our feet parallel. Again, you could use your step here as well. I can put that step right in front of me. Feet are parallel, trying to dip those heels down. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Evenly pushing off on the balls of the feet. This ankle here, again, this is the side that I had the injury, and I can see how it's trying to move in a dysfunctional way. So I really want to be cognizant as you watch yourself strengthening and really reinforcing good, strong movements, because again, this is our kinetic chain. If you have dysfunction in your foot or your ankle, it can cause pain in your knees, your hips, your back, all the way up to your neck. Or injury, we don't want that. So I really want to train this leg to work the way that I want it to work, so that when I'm doing everyday living activities and running in races or triathlons, that I don't have an injury or a problem, because it will remember, that muscle memory will be built in using the good form that we practice in the gym. All right, now we're going to take those feet out plie again. Again, your balls of your feet are on the edge of the step. And you notice I'm using a low step for this, because you don't need a high step, because your foot's not going to, it doesn't really benefit, and it would actually make it harder to use the correct form if the step was too high, because my chair is only so low. Squeezing those calves at the top. Now you might be wondering, or some of you who love weightlifting, why aren't we using weights for these? Well, because this is a recovery workout. We're not trying to really crush our calves today. We're trying to create good movement and stretching and form. If you wanted to repeat these calf exercises, let's turn our feet in like a duck now, knees together. If you wanted to repeat these on another day with weights, that's definitely a great idea, but we're not using weights today for this. Now I'm feeling some tightness on the tops of my feet here, so you could also use your massage balls or your fingertips at a later date and kind of rub out around the ankle here. Let me show you what those look like. Our hand and foot massage balls. I use a different set for my feet than I do for my face. Or you can sanitize them. But so I like the little ball for this. You could roll it around in gentle circles around the ankle bone and across the top of the foot. If you feel like there's tightness in there. I'm feeling a little bit of tightness that needs released. So this is a good way to kind of get rid of that. All right. Got to make sure I put these back in the case, because my little gym cat exercise cats love to exercise with these balls, and then I'll never find them again. Okay. Set your step aside. We'll come back to that one more time with another exercise. We're going to take it to the mat now with a pyramid lift and lower. So depending on how your hips feel, you can either have your feet perpendicular with your torso facing your front foot, or we could do more of a staggered stance, okay? So if this doesn't feel good in terms of your mobility in your hips, keep your feet more of a parallel stance. Tipping at the hip, we want to have a nice long line through the spine. You should be feeling that stretch from your butt cheek all the way down the back of your front leg, lifting and lowering. We don't need to go all the way down to the leg. Probably here you see I have like a 90-degree bend in my torso and my back leg. That's probably all you need for that good stretch. Let's hold this one here. Couple nice deep breaths. Come on up. We're going to switch sides. All face a different direction. I like to give you different vantage points. Again, your feet are parallel or your back foot is perpendicular, hips to the front, tipping at the hip. The other point I wanted to make is that your knees are soft here. We never want to lock out those joints. Nice long line through the spine, like we have that string coming up from our head. How are you doing? One more. All right, shake it out. Guess what? We've got one more calf raise series today. So grab that step. Again, chair as needed for balance. Single leg calf raise. So this other leg is just free hanging, lift and lower. So this should feel harder. I'm just facing the toes front today for this one. This should feel harder than the double leg calf raise because all of your body weight is on that one leg. Again, if you wanted to challenge yourself, adding on a weighted single leg calf raise as part of your workout when you do weight training, go for it. But today, we're just using body weight. Switching legs, ball the foot on the edge of the step. Your other leg's just hanging relaxed. Lift and lower. Squeezing the calf at the top. Focusing on pressing through the ball of the foot and each of your toes so that your foot's not rolling to the outside or the inside as you press off. One more on this side. Shake it out. We are done with our step for today. So you can put it off to the side. Going back to our yoga, right angle. So this one, our feet are perpendicular, leaning into that front knee. I like to try to keep it in alignment with the toe. So I'm going to scoot forward, rotating here. You can rest your arm on your leg. You can use your chair for balance, or you can sink down towards the floor. This is my bad shoulder, so I'm going to put my hand on my hip, but you can certainly extend it upward. Coming back up. Now, soft knee, but straighten that leg. Push your hips towards the back. Reach forward. Triangle. Again, on the thigh, the calf, or the floor. Breathe. All right, let's switch sides. So I'm just going to rotate my feet to the other side. The leg position should be set up from the first side. Your feet are perpendicular. Bending that front knee, arms out, rotate to the side right here, or sink down towards the calf or the floor. Again, if you have a shoulder issue, you can put your hand on your hip. Couple deep breaths here. Come on up. Straightening this front knee, but soft. Push your hips to the back. reach forward and extend, rotate up on your inside of your thigh, your calf, or the floor. 2 more deep breaths right here. Are you feeling that stretch in the back of the front leg? Come on up and step it together. We're going to use the length of our mat here. If your balance or stability is a little off today, you could do this along a wall so that you have the wall for support. This is our last movement for today's stretch, mobility, and recovery. Coming up to our toes, we're going to tiptoe walk forward and back. Try not to drop your heels. Take your time. It's not a race. Forward. How are we doing? This is more about time under tension, meaning the amount of time that we're on our tiptoes versus hurrying up and going the distance, right? Walking back. Again, there's some balance in this exercise. I'm going to go back and forward one more time. Finish us off here. You could always use a chair as well for this exercise and just take a few steps forward and back, forward and back. Use the space that you have available. Nice tall posture. Notice I'm not looking down at my toes. If we're looking down like this, we're not helping our posture. We're adding weight to our head. We want to engage our core and have that nice strong body. That completes our foot and calf focus of stretch, mobility, and recovery. Make sure you send me your stretching selfie at Kella Price at Healthy Fitness Life Coach. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at SMR Stretch. I'd love to know what you thought of today's session. Bookmark this video for later use. Share it with your friends. Make sure you join our fitness community. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you next time.